The quest for power is all important. Tell me if you've ever experienced this. You're running around in World of Warcraft, and you happen to come across a fellow who has something like this on. And you're like, what the heck is this? What is this thing? And you inspect him, and you're dumbfounded. This weapon is orange. It's not blue. It's not green. It's not even purple. It's orange. And so you link it in guild chat. You say, hey guys, what the heck is this? And they're like, oh, dude, that's Hand of Rag. That's like the best weapon in the game, man. How do I get it? How do I get this weapon? Oh, well, you got to get max level first, and then you got to do Molten Core, and you got to get all these items from Molten Core, and then you have to make this epic weapon. Then you have to combine it with this legendary item that drops off the last boss, and it's a whole mess. It's a lot of work. You gotta really farm for that. It's like, oh wow, this guy really has done a lot in this game. Or perhaps you've experienced this. You've been walking around Undercity and you see this flashy, crazy lightning sword, and you're like, what is this? Well, that's Thunder Fury. And your guildmates tell you that's Thunder Fury. You got to collect two halves and put them together, and then you get this amazing weapon. Or maybe you're running around and you see a guy with Zen Rock, and you're like, where do I get that? It's like, oh, you got to get max level first. It drops off this boss, a car. Or maybe you see a guy ride by in amazing looking gear. He's in full Dread Mist. Okay, maybe that's a bad example. But maybe you see someone with corrupted Ashbringer, and you're like, how do I get that weapon? And they're like, it drops in Naxxramas. You're never going to see that weapon. That weapon's impossible to get. But you're like, I want it. I want to see if I can get it. This is all part of what I call quest for power. Quest for power is a really important concept in RPGs and in MMOs in particular, but it totally can exist in other forms of media. It can exist in writing or in a TV show or a movie if the character has this quest to achieve power. And if you're reading and you're watching a character try to grow, you're essentially that person's on a quest for power. What makes the quest for power satisfying is actually not necessarily achieving the power. What makes the quest for power compelling is the quest itself. It's this carrot on a stick, this idea that out there somewhere, you eventually are going to get enough power in this game to do great things, to overcome obstacles, to be the best, to be the most powerful, to kill people. The quest for power is something that you can seek for itself, but it's also something that you seek as a value relative to other things. It makes the game easier. When you're more powerful, you can kill more people. You can do harder bosses. If you get those good items, you feel like you're going to be invincible. You're going to go out into the world and you're going to kill things easier. You're going to get more items. You're going to get more gold. Everything's going to be easier if you have more power. So the quest for power is a big part of RPGs and especially MMOs. MMOs, I think, are very, very compelling because of that idea of quest for power. But in other media, like if I think of maybe like Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, there's an ongoing quest for power. There's this constant, cycle of trying to get more and more power, and that's what keeps, I think, a lot of readers motivated to keep reading, even through some of the worst books in that series, is this idea that eventually, we're going to get enough power and we're going to see the conclusion of the story. Now, I think a lot of cases, and I should say when I'm talking about MMOs, I don't just mean World of Warcraft. Just World of Warcraft is a very popular example. All MMOs will do this to a certain extent, I think, that are very compelling, at least most MMORPGs. The idea of the quest for power has actually been a little bit missed in a couple of games of late, particularly World of Warcraft. And it's because there's a misunderstanding of what the quest for power is. Blizzard has made a lot of changes to World of Warcraft over the years that have essentially made it easier to acquire that power, to acquire the gear, because they're thinking along like a more direct line. It's like players want epic gear, so let's give them epic gear. Let's give them a path to get that epic gear. And that's not by itself a bad way of thinking, but when you put it into context, what keeps those players compelled to play is the ongoing quest for power. If you make that quest too easy, or if you eliminate the quest for power, like what they've done in PvP, or what they'll be doing in PvP and Legion especially, but also what they've kind of done with it in this last expansion, Warlords of Draenor, is made it so that the quest for power doesn't exist in that environment. without realizing that the game is about the quest for power. Because there's people like, I really want balanced PvP. It's like, well, balanced PvP is not... If you want balanced PvP, I don't think an MMO is a good place to try to achieve that. I think a better kind of game to find balanced PvP is something like League of Legends. Although people are now going to comment about all the imbalance in that particular game, which is great. But, you know, if you want to achieve balance, it's not in something that has this quest for power as the primary compelling reason that you play the game, in a sense. Warcraft and other MMOs that have a level-based system, so like EverQuest and Lineage... In vanilla WoW, getting to level 60 was a big accomplishment. Like, it was really hard to get to level 60. It took a lot of effort, took a lot of game time. And that was your first big quest for power, is trying to get to max level. Because that's something that you can't improve upon anymore. Once you get to max level, you're done gaining experience. And there are games where getting max level was much harder than World of Warcraft, but it was still a big accomplishment in World of Warcraft. I mentioned Lineage, Lineage 2 have insane leveling curves. EverQuest had a much crazier leveling curve and more difficult leveling experience than World of Warcraft by far. But World of Warcraft, at least the original version, had a very compelling leveling experience because it was a serious investment to do it. The easier you make the quest for power, the less compelling it can be. I think there's a balance point, because if you make it impossible to gain power, then people become disheartened. They need to feel like they are meaningfully working towards that. And so a level-based system really does that. Every time you gain a level, you're like, I'm stronger. I can go out and kill harder monsters. I can do more advanced dungeons. I can kill someone that's lower level than me better. So every time you gain a level, you feel your character getting stronger, and certainly the original versions of World of Warcraft did a very, very good job of that. But then you get to level 60, and then there's even another bigger quest for power, which is the quest to attain gear, attain armor and weapons to make your character stronger, and that starts to become the primary motivator for things, and that has remained the main quest of power after vanilla. The leveling experience is now just something that people kind of go through. You level for like 2 days now, and then you get on this gear treadmill, and that becomes the quest for power. So the mistake they make is thinking people want the item, so let's give it to them, without really thinking what people want is power, and they don't want it for intrinsic reasons. That's another mistake that I think Blizzard has made recently. Like they've gutted, they gutted professions. Professions were a big part of the game, and professions in Burning Crusade gave you really, really good items, and the best helm in the game was this engineering helm, and you got this weapon that you could upgrade through your raid instances. The professions made you powerful, and they said, we don't want people doing professions just because it makes them strong. It's like, you don't understand your game if you say that. Everybody's doing something to make themselves stronger. That's what the game is about, right? And the game could be about other things besides that. I want to say it's not just about that, but that's the main mechanics of an RPG. When you level up, you get stronger. You put your points into a talent, you get better at that. You put on better gear, your character gets stronger. It's all about the quest for power. And if you forget that the game is about the quest for power and start thinking that we need to give customers what they want is gear, then what you're doing is you're not giving them what they want, because what they want is the quest for power. So that's a brief little idea that I had rocking around my head today. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You can visit my websites. They're down below. You can find me on social media all over the place. And please, in the comments, let me know what you think, how you feel, and help me to refine my ideas always. I'm always happy to talk about those sorts of things. You guys have a great day.